everyone, and welcome to this week's Wildlife Wednesday Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, Tenley Thompson, and we've got our best of 2020 episode this week, something you definitely don't want to miss. So go ahead, grab a drink, grab a snack. We've got some amazing videos to show you today, and I think you're really going to love some of our best and brightest and most favorites from 2020. But first, I wanted to give you an update on Grizzly Bear 399, who put on quite a show yesterday and today. Let's check in with Josh and find out the latest.
Hi everyone, Josh from Ecotour Adventures here with an exciting late December sighting of Grizzly 399 and her 4 cubs. In most places across the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, grizzlies have gone into hibernation by now, but we know of at least 5 who are still out and about. Over the past few months, Grizzly 399 and cubs have covered a lot of ground across the Jackson Hole Valley, seeking food to fatten up for winter. We recently observed them heading north through Grand Teton National Park. Could they finally be heading to a den? During hibernation, bears primarily metabolize fat, but should it run out, they will consume muscle and could starve or become too weak in the spring to recover. At 24 years old, Grizzly 399 is an experienced matriarch and could be staying out later to guard against this possibility. This isn't the first time we've observed grizzlies active in late December. Bears often take advantage of carcasses left over from the late season elk hunt, which occurs on the National Elk Refuge and southern Grand Teton National Park. Grizzly 399 certainly has surprised us a few times already this fall and may stay out a bit longer. However, with cold temperatures and increasing snowfall, it is likely that the Bruins are now finally heading north through Grand Teton towards a winter den. Once bedded down, the family will enter a state called torpor. For the next few months, they will not eat, drink, urinate, or defecate. Their heart rates will slow from 50 to 8 beats per minute, and body temperature will drop by 10 degrees. These amazing adaptations allow them to conserve energy while sleeping away the winter. From the video, Grizzly 399 is looking quite rotund, so we're hopeful that this bear family will soon be enjoying a well-deserved rest and will all emerge healthy this spring. From Ecotour Adventures, this is naturalist Josh Metton. Thanks to guides Kirk Ryder and Laura Kraszewski for contributing spotting scope footage. Please let us know if you have any questions in the comments.
So, what do you think? Grizzly Bear 399 is headed hopefully for the den to the north. She looks so fat, you guys. I spent quite a lot of time with her yesterday. She looks fat and portund, and the cubs look fat. They look so good going into hibernation. So we're going to wish them some really good well wishes. Hope they get up there and they get all snuggled in for the winter, and hope that we get to see all of them in the spring. Pretty awesome little end of year gift from 399. In the meantime, let's look at some of the best videos that we took on Wildlife Wednesday throughout the year. Let's go ahead and start in the spring and from one of our very first broadcasts on May 20th and go and talk with naturalist Kirk about some of these foxes in a fox den.
Hey guys, really fun checking out this fox den here. It's a great time of year to find fox because they'll be active throughout the day when a mother, a vixen, is looking to support 5 pups like this. But typically they could be nocturnal or crepuscular, meaning only active in the early mornings or the later evenings. So it's pretty fun to watch a den like this right now. But fox, they might be in your own backyard denning. They live all over the place. They're the most widely distributed terrestrial meat eater in the world. So they're great generalists. They could eat a lot of different things and live in a lot of different places. But right now here in Jackson, checking out this den, we see 5 pups. We see the vixen, the mother, but we don't see the dog presently. That would be the father. And the dog usually is around throughout the summertime, helping to raise those pups, especially going out finding food to help support that mother, support the pups. But we don't see him right now. I think that these pups might be maybe 6 weeks old, maybe even a little bit older, because they're engaging in a lot of mock fights, a lot of playful activity, mock hunting. And it's all that sort of playful activity that's going to help them hone their skills, because come summertime, they're going to be joining their mother on hunts, and by August, it'll be time for them to disperse and go off on their own. But for now, it's really fun to watch these fox hanging around with mom at the den site.
Sorry about the mute on that, guys. I will eventually learn how to not do that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and check in with Verlin, and from June 24th with some newborn pronghorn fawns. So Eco Tour guide Verlin got this unbelievable footage of a pronghorn giving birth. Now pronghorn always give birth to twins, so you can see she's in labor and has already delivered her first little fawn there. And she's licking that fawn down, cleaning it up, making sure it's scentless so no predators can find it. And that little guy's trying to take his first steps. Definitely having a hard time getting up off of the ground, but this little guy definitely eventually did. You can see he's looking to try and suckle off of his mother, but can't quite figure out where the milk might be coming from. It's definitely not going to come from her neck, little guy. But these two, Verlin said, did very, very well and eventually were able to move off with their mother. So really incredible footage from Verlin there. Eco Tour Adventures guide Josh also got some footage of a newborn pronghorn this week. And then here's the two fawns trying out some fresh green grass. Obviously, they're definitely dependent on mom's milk right now, but sampling different forage, particularly mimicking mom's behavior, is critically important to learn in the long term how to feed yourself. You can see these guys are still pretty wobbly. Josh reports that both of the fawns seem to be doing really well and were able to walk off with mom, as we'll see at the end of this video here. So thanks very much to Eco Tour Adventures guide Josh for that really phenomenal footage that he took this week of that little pronghorn fawn. To see some pronghorn giving birth on a trip is a really, really amazing experience. Little jealous of what Verlin got to see there. But that's okay. Let's check in next with Mark with one of my very favorite experiences to have on a trip, howling wolves.
A highlight from my week came up in Yellowstone. Earlier this week, we were in the Hayden Valley and we were able to see some incredible wolf activity. We had 12 adult members of the Wapiti pack, 10 of which were up on top of this rise, and they were congregated, kind of celebrating what seemed like a feeding event, and they all started howling. And as they were howling, I started scanning behind us, kind of in the direction that the wolves were looking, and there was 2 other adult members on the opposite side of the Yellowstone River. As the howling continued, both of those members of the pack swam the Yellowstone River, crossed the road in the Hayden Valley, and then reunited with the other 10 adults. So we were able to see 12 adult members of the Wapiti pack with some pretty amazing behavior going on with them communication-wise and you know, just the social dynamic of those wolf packs. It was pretty fascinating to watch.
Pretty fun stuff. If you haven't had a chance to see wolves on tour with us, I definitely recommend one of our multi-day trips, perhaps in the spring or the fall, or we do have some opportunities coming up relatively soon in the winter as well. So definitely contact us for more information about those. And guys, if you're enjoying our Best of 2020 episode, don't forget to like and share this broadcast to somebody who you think might enjoy it. It's definitely some of our favorite videos from the year, and we sure do appreciate you joining us this evening and sharing them with us. All right, next up, we've got one of the most amazing videos I've ever seen from Sean of a mountain lion and kittens.
I got a call from my coworker Josh that he had just found an elk calf killed by a mountain lion. So I quickly grabbed a trail camera, ran to the woods, met him. We set up 2 trail cameras, left for the night, came back, and we got to see this mom cat drag the elk calf, as cats like to do, under the tree to hide it. 1 kitten in the background, 3 off screen. She has 4 kittens. That mama lion's 100 pounds. The pure power to drag that elk calf with ease, 300 pounds plus. It was pretty cool. Now I fed on it for a while. That 1 kitten was always with the mom. The other 3 were a lot more camera shy. An opportunity that I may never be able to get again. It was absolutely incredible, and it's some amazing footage.
So Sean thought he'd never get another chance to see those mountain lions again, and just in case, he set up the trail cam to see if the lions came back, and sure enough, when he went to go check his footage this week, absolutely, there they were. There's the mom and the 3 kittens. Sean believes pretty strongly that these are the same lions that he saw earlier this year. You can see there's a moose that shows up on the left-hand side of the screen that they take a pretty good look at and try to pursue. But really, some great footage of mountain lions from Sean this week. We certainly appreciate him showing us this mom and her 3 kittens. So thanks, Sean, for that. So howling wolves, growling bears, chirping mountain lion kittens, definitely a lot of predators in our top list this year. But we do also want to pay attention to the smallest members of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. For those of you who were able to catch our episodes throughout last spring and summer, you know that Mark was keeping track of 2 birds' nests in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. One was a nest of red-tailed hawks, and the other was a nest of ruby-throated hummingbirds. Let's check in from the last update he gave us on July 1st from those 2 nests before they both fledged.
Hi guys, quick update on the hummingbird and red-tailed hawk nest that we've been watching so far this spring. We have reached the final stages of the nesting season for these active nests, and the reality is these young nestlings have grown to such an incredible size that these nests are just flat out running out of room for them. You know, all 3 red-tailed hawklets have full flight feathers. Their heads have lost the down that they've had up until this point, and they are looking like they are getting closer to taking that first flight of their lives here sometime in the next week. The hummingbird nest, both little nestlings have grown incredibly over the last 10 days, and that nest is getting smaller and smaller, even for those little hummingbirds. You have to remember that the size of that hummingbird nest is about the size of a quarter. and both of those nestlings are running out of room to turn around and to get food from mom, who's been busy delivering. And you know, it's really been exciting watching these young nestlings develop, and hopefully over the next week or so I might be able to catch some of their first flights. That would be really a treat, but we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully all goes well. As of right now, it's looking like we might have 3 hawklets fledge and both baby hummingbirds fledge, which is super exciting. All right, thanks for watching.
They are so cute. And that nest really is so tiny. It was really an amazing feat of camera work for Mark to be able to capture those images for us throughout the spring and summer. Speaking of feats, our EcoTours naturalist Eric got a rare sighting of one of the rarest and largest geysers in the world, the largest active geyser in the world, Steamboat.
Steamboat Geyser. This is the world's tallest and largest geyser currently active. An absolutely amazing showcase of power, force, and beauty. It can reach heights of 380 feet and produce a hiss so loud a simple conversation cannot be had while viewing. After the thousands of gallons of water propelled to staggering heights, it falls back to the Earth's surface, collecting in fast-moving streams down the hill, while some, landing uphill of the geyser, flows back into the geyser itself. I was lucky enough to witness this eruption on one of our multi-day trips in Yellowstone National Park. After hearing the eruption start from over 1,000 feet away, we rushed to the base of the geyser, and after ensuring ideal views for my guests, I captured a bit of footage of the eruption and subsequent steam phase. This was my first major steamboat eruption, and it had me in goosebumps and nearly in tears from pure joy. We basked and enjoyed in every moment of the 33-minute eruption and stayed for an hour and a half of the steam phase. Magic. Steamboat is a rare geyser due to its unpredictable nature and extended periods of dormancy. Sometimes years, even decades have passed without any activity. It erupted only twice between 2008 and 2018. Twice. But for the last 3 years, we've been in an active phase with eruptions happening much more frequently. 110 times in the last 3 years. The steam phase could be seen the next day, even on a return drive back to Jackson.
One day I'm gonna see Steamboat, but this was one of its most active years in history. It was super active this summer. It was active the summer before. It can have these long periods of dormancy. Definitely, probably next summer is the time to visit and to see Steamboat for yourself. All right, pretty cool stuff. Now we've seen Grizzly Bear 399 just yesterday and today. We've seen Grizzly Bear 399 with Taylor when we very first saw her come out of the den with those 4 cubs. And I could have probably filled this entire episode with Grizzly Bear 399 videos. But let me share you one more, our very favorite video of the year, which is her and her interaction with her daughter, Grizzly Bear 610.
Hey everybody, this is Laura. I'm so excited to tell you about my sighting of the week up in northern Grand Teton National Park. I got a chance to see Grizzly Bear 399 interacting with her daughter, Grizzly Bear number 610, and all their cubs together. So that's 8 bears all at once in the same place. In my 10 years of guiding, this may have been my best sighting so far. Of course, Grizzly Bear 399 may be the most famous grizzly bear in Wyoming. She's 24 years of age this year, and she's given birth to likely 17 cubs throughout her lifetime. 610 is one of her older cubs. She was born 12 years ago, and she also has 2 second-year cubs of her own. For grizzly bears, they'll keep their cubs around usually for 2 to 3 years to teach them what it's like to be a bear in the wild. recently on an episode of Wildlife Wednesday weekly roundup, I showed you a film of grizzly bear number 610 swimming in Grand Teton National Park. This time, I got to witness 399 swimming the same path. I wonder how 610 learned that behavior. I'm sure, I guarantee you, it was from her mother, 399. We'd been seeing these bears in the area for a few days. This time of the year, berries are really attractive for bears to consume. So a grizzly bear might be consuming between 20 to 30,000 calories per day strictly in berries. So of course a bear stays with its mom for 2 to 3 years to learn what it's like to be a wild bear out there in the woods. So biologists think that these roadside bears not only find great food sources in those areas, but also may be protecting their cubs by hanging out near humans. And I know that sounds very strange, but male bears, or we call them boars, will sometimes try to kill cubs. And yeah, that sounds really mean, very unusual, but male bears want the opportunity to mate and to spread their genetics instead of allowing the genetics of another male to live on into the future and become the later competition for him. So those male bears or boars, they don't really like us. They don't really like humans. So if the female bear and the cubs stick near the roadside, therefore they are protecting themselves from harm. Across the water on a small island, we first noticed grizzly bear 610 and those 2 second-year cubs. So those are larger size cubs. And they were rooting around in an area that I recognize has had some beaver activity in it recently. Now I don't know if they were after those beavers specifically to eat them, but it just looked like they were sniffing around, digging around in that lodge area or in that beaver home area to hopefully find a meal. And then they disappeared off into the woodwork. There's some trees just by the water's edge. They went in there, we couldn't see them anymore. And to our surprise, another bear, also with cubs, popped out from the right. She came splashing down out of the bushes, right into the water. I think those cubs were all sugared up from eating so many berries. They quickly swam across the water onto the same island that I've recently seen 610 use. They romped across, they jumped back into the water, and joined 610 on that island. So I'm sure 610 learned these behaviors from her mother in years past. Well, for me, that was an incredible sighting. I'm so excited to have gotten a chance to share it with you. Thank you for watching. And thanks for keeping up with our wild bears of Northern Grand Teton National Park. I hope you're as excited as I am to witness this interaction. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.
Pretty awesome stuff. Now, if you're planning on visiting the Jackson Hole area and you want to go out with a trip with us, whether that's out on a wildlife watching tour or cross-country skiing tour in Grand Teton or go snowshoeing, do definitely mention this broadcast. We'll give you 10% off. Definitely contact us for more details and information. But I definitely wanted to let everyone know that that was certainly an available option. All right, on with the fun videos. On September 2nd, we previewed a video from Josh of wolves and bears up in the northern range of Yellowstone playing together.
Hello everyone, naturalist Josh Metten here with Ecotour Adventures. I want to share with you a recent video I got on a multi-day tour of Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks. what we're seeing is what we believe a subadult wolf from the Junction Butte pack, and then 2 subadult bears from the area as well. These 2 grizzlies, as you can see by their size, they're pretty big, but they are not full-size bears yet, and they're hanging out together, which is an indication that these are probably siblings who recently dispersed from their mother. What's so interesting about this video is the behavior that we're seeing here. It's not aggressive. It seems to be more playful, and it's a good example of how animals in the wild play with members of their own species, but also potentially with members of other species. Why do animals play? Well, play is something that animals do because it's simply fun. It's no different than what humans do for playing, or what our pets do when they want to play with us. They enjoy it. That said, play is something that develops valuable skills that we will use later in life. As you can see from this video, we don't think this is the first time that these cubs have played with a wolf from the Junction Butte pack. This is from last summer when the cubs were still with their mother. These animals have gotten to know each other because they live in the same area, and as a result, they've been able to form relationships where they can coexist. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. For more information about our multi-day tours, please visit www.jhecotouradventures.com.
Really, really amazing stuff from Josh in the Northern Range there. Next, let's go forward to October 7th and take a look at our annual fall elk rut with owner and Ecotours naturalist Taylor.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Wildlife Wednesday. Fall, one of my favorite seasons of the year. I don't know, this place is amazing. I feel like the season that I'm in tends to be the favorite season of the year for myself. But one thing that really makes the fall special is the elk rut. Mid-September through mid-October, kind of the height of the rut being around the first of the month. It's just an incredible spectacle. A couple times this week I went out, personally, once with my family, and we were rewarded with big bull elk communicating their strength and their fitness to other males that are nearby, as well as the females. So male elk, they do their best to try to create a harem of females. You know, a harem could be anywhere from just, half dozen female individuals. I've counted harems of, upwards of 80 individuals. And that male, for a month period of time, is eating very little, sleeping very little. They are doing their best to keep their females kind of corralled into a tight ball or network. Don't be fooled though, it's really the females that call the shot. The females will kind of move across the landscape as they please, and the dominant bull of that harem will do their best to keep the subordinate males away, but then also to kind of keep the females in a tight network. So yeah, we were watching here bulls bugling. So the bugle is a loud vocalization, and that's a way that they can advertise their health and fitness. They also really enjoy displaying their antlers. So you might see that elk standing broadside, to the females, to another bull, showing their size and stature. Their neck does swell during this time of the year to emphasize their size. It's an incredible time of year. It's a very taxing time of year for these males. Because as the month goes on, like I said, they're eating very little, and they're losing, maybe 10-15% of their body mass as they're going into the winter months. So that does make them more susceptible to predation, disease, starvation as the winter progresses. And as spring comes around, that does tend to be one of the more challenging times for many animals on this landscape. We do see it's those most dominant bulls that often succumb to that long, drawn-out winter in the Northern Rockies. Well, I hope you enjoyed this segment of Jackson Hole Eco Tour Adventures Wildlife Wednesday. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome stuff, guys. Now, don't forget, if you're enjoying this stuff, go ahead and like and share it with somebody who you think would enjoy it. This is definitely our most special episode of the year, and we definitely want as many people to catch it as they can. All right, let's fast forward, lastly, all the way to December 2nd, and tune in with EcoTours naturalist Elise as she looks in on a pine marten that she and naturalist Sean were lucky enough to catch.
Hey guys, Eco Tour Adventures Guide Elise here. I'm really excited to share this amazing sighting with you. We had the rare opportunity to view an American marten relaxing in a tree. These are one of my favorite species in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, so let's check it out. Marten are widespread in the Jackson Hole area and live in coniferous and mixed wood forests. They are mustelids, or members of the weasel family, are about the size of a domestic cat and have a dark brown coat with a beautiful orange blaze on their chest. They also have semi-retractable claws which are great for climbing trees as well as catching prey. Martens spend much of their time in trees, like this marten here, but will travel the forest floor in search of food. They eat mostly small rodents such as red squirrels, mice, voles, snowshoe hares, and marmots, but are opportunistic feeders and have also been found to feed on birds, eggs, and berries. They are one of the few predators that is able to catch a squirrel, being just as quick. Marten may be active as much as 60% of the day in the summer, but as little as 16% of the day in wintertime. Males and females will tolerate each other's presence, but both will defend their territory from other marten of the same sex. They have a low population density for a carnivore of their size, mostly due to prey availability. Marten are solitary with the exception of the breeding season in July and August. Similar to bears, delayed implantation takes place in marten, with the embryos implanting in late winter. They give birth to 1 to 5 kits in late March or April, and those kits will stay with their mother until the end of their first summer, dispersing in the fall. We don't often have the opportunity to view the tenacious marten in a relaxed setting like this. They are incredibly quick and agile animals and can easily jump from tree to tree and quickly move about the ground as well. The few sightings I've experienced have been catching a glimpse of one as it's on the move. I do, however, get to see their tracks quite often in the winter on snowshoe tours, as marten are active throughout the year. They leave easily identified tracks in the snow with their broad, fur-covered feet that allow them to travel on the snow with ease. Getting to see one of these tenacious small animals is a rare treat and one I was very excited about.
So, what do you think? We've got 12 videos for 12 months of 2020. Those are our absolute favorites, but I definitely encourage you to look into our archives on the Facebook website, as well as on Instagram and YouTube. Check out all of these broadcasts if you want some more great wildlife action, some memories of summer, and some great views of Jackson Hole. So a really big thank you to all of our naturalist interpreters this week. We had Kirk, Taylor, Verlin, Mark, Sean, Eric, Laura, Josh, and Elise, and of course a big thanks to Maddie, as always, who's moderating our comment section this week. It's been really fun watching all of your comments as this broadcast has continued in and these videos have been going. Folks are sharing lots of happy memories from Jackson Hole throughout 2020 and years previous. And I do want to remind you all, Mindy was saying that she was enjoying the show, but she missed part of it. Guys, this whole thing will be available on our Facebook page as well as Instagram Instagram and YouTube just after the broadcast ends. So don't worry, you can go back and rewind and watch it from the beginning if you're just tuning in a little bit late. Not a big deal at all. All right, it's time for my second favorite part of the broadcast, which is our trivia question of the week. All right, so the way this is going to work is we're going to give you a chance to win a $10 gift card to our EcoTour Adventures store. Maddie's going to put the link up to that store in just a moment for me. The way you can win the gift card is you just have to comment the correct answer to our trivia question of the week. But firstly, our featured item in the store this week. We just got these in, you guys. We're super, super excited, which is our EcoTour Adventures winter hats. Look how cool these look. This is our EcoTours naturalist, Kirk, who's modeling it this afternoon. They're super fun. They've got our logo on the front, and Jackson Hole and a moose and the Tetons on the back. If you'd like one of those, feel free to go ahead and take a look in our store. Remember that 100% of the proceeds of our online store go to the employees of Jackson Hole Ecotours, and so we all definitely appreciate your support. So if you're enjoying this broadcast or you love our Wildlife Wednesday programs, definitely checking out some of the great gift items, art, photography, SteoWare, definitely something to see. And if you just really enjoy these broadcasts and want to leave us a tip, you can do that on the store as well. We definitely have a tip page. You can drop our guides $5. That'll go towards their health insurance and other benefits, and we certainly would appreciate that. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Let's start with last week's trivia question and get you all an answer. Now, feel free to answer this in the comments section, but we've already chosen a winner for last week, so you can comment, but it isn't necessarily going to give you a chance to win. Our question last week, of course, because it was Christmas, had to do with reindeer and caribou. And my question was really, really simple, which is, are the reindeer who pull Santa's sleigh male or female? Are they male or female? Now, some of you guys are looking at me probably like I'm crazy, but I am asking this from a biological perspective. Based on the depictions commonly seen of Santa's reindeer, are they male or female? Now, let me explain, because of course, this was a trick question, because I wanted to give you all a big stumper in time for Christmas. All right, so let's first of all explain the concept of antlers, because this is all about antlers. So antlers occur on animals that they're bony projections from the head that branch or prong. So you have two types of things that stick out from a head. Well, three types of things. There's horns as well, but you have nose horns, side horns, and antlers. Okay, so something like a bison has horns. They do not branch or prong, and both the males and females have them, right? Something like a bighorn sheep is going to have a horn. Something like an elk or a deer, a moose, a caribou, a reindeer is going to have antlers. They're projections that do branch or prong. And the difference between the two is typically the branching and pronging, and also that only males typically have antlers. The only exception to the rule are caribou and reindeer. Both males and females have antlers. So antlers are typically used to compete for females, but female reindeer will also use them to fight off and ward off predators. So after the rut in late October and November, the male reindeer actually shed their antlers one at a time, and then the females actually hold on to their antlers until spring because they remain useful. They're still pregnant, and it helps them be able to guard and find ample food. So if you're following me correctly, the males have all shed their antlers in reindeer by December. And if all the depictions of Santa's reindeer are true, that they have antlers, then that's very strongly suggestive that all of those reindeer are female, which means Rudolph is a girl. So if you answered that question correctly. And of course, I'm approaching this from a biological angle. There's, I think we were saying last week, 23 species of reindeer and caribou, or maybe it was 17, I can't remember now. But that does not include the magical subspecies that Mrs. Claus raises for Santa. There could be special rules that apply to that magical subspecies. So if we are judging Santa's reindeer on the rest of the world's reindeer, then if they still have antlers in December, they're female. But of course it is possible, and I will concede, that these magical reindeer may have different rules that apply, and they may be male and female, or just male or just female. So I'm going to accept the correct answer from a biological standpoint, that Santa's reindeer are female. If you got the question right, definitely let me know in the comments section. I was really pleased to see last week how many of you actually got that one correct. I thought I was really going to stump you, but apparently nothing stumps you. So pretty fun stuff. Okay, this week's question hopefully is going to be a little bit less stressful. So this one comes to us from EcoTour's naturalist Laura, and my question for you is, what animal is in this video? Now we've slowed it down because they move so fast. This was taken at the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort on the ski hill while Laura was skiing. So there's your hint. The other hint I'm going to give you is there are two common names for this animal. We will accept either answer as the correct answer. So what is the name of this animal? Everybody see that little guy back behind the tree? All right, we're going to play it one more time for you because that animal was moving really, really quickly. What is the name of this animal? Now, we've talked about these guys before on our EcoTour Adventures Wildlife Wednesday broadcast. So we'll see who gets it right. All you have to do to have a chance to win that gift card to our store, which is definitely enough for sure to buy some stickers and some other goodies, is answer our question correctly. And then Elise, the naturalist who was showing you that pine marten earlier, will go ahead and contact the winner late next week. So definitely let us know in the comment section. If you're watching this video from another group, from a group where this page was shared, or from a friend's page, you do have to go to the EcoTour Adventures main comment area to comment. We may not see your comment otherwise because we don't always have access to the comments once it gets shared a couple different times on and on and on and on. So definitely make sure you come to the EcoTour Adventures page on Facebook and comment there and get your chance to win. Okay, so hopefully you guys will go ahead and get that answer correct. I'm actually looking at the comment section as we speak, and there's a lot of correct answers, so I'm feeling really good about that. Thanks to Laura for this week's trivia question. All right, it's time for my favorite part of the broadcast, which is I'm here to answer your questions live. So if you have a biology-related or naturalist-related question, go ahead and ask me in the comment section. I'll see if I can't get you an answer. And guys, I'm going to be looking down because my iPad is sitting right here, and that's how I'm seeing your comments. So pardon me while I look down, kind of review questions people have been asking throughout the broadcast and see if I can't get you all some answers. Let's see here. All right. So I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. Donna asks, how can you tell the pronghorn can see the rings of Saturn and the moons of Jupiter? Donna, that's a really good question because it's not like we can just ask the pronghorn. And that's an awfully big boast to be making. And it's based on their vision. So we know that pronghorn have extraordinary vision and extraordinary depth perception. Now, this is all scientific formula, but basically there's two components to your eyes, rods and cones. Rods help you see sharp, help you see a long way away, and typically are more black and white in their vision. Cones help you see color and they help you see more widely. So in general, when we look at eyes all over the animal world, you're going to see animals with excellent eyesight are going to have predominantly rods in their eyes, and animals with excellent awareness are going to have, of their surroundings, are going to have predominantly cones. If you're following me, what I'm saying is predators tend to have more rods and their eyes tend to be up front, and prey animals tend to have more cones and their eyes tend to be on the sides of their head, right? So animals who are hunting need that vision, that binocular vision to see out front. And then animals who are prey need to be able to have more of a 360 view, be able to see far, far behind where we can see, and have an awareness of their surroundings. In case you're curious, humans are about 50-50, half rods, half cones. There are definitely animals who have far more rods than we do, and there are definitely animals that have far more cones than we do. So based on our ability to understand how we can see the world, we're able to make mathematical guesses on how well an animal can see the world who is, for instance, 75% rods or 90% rods or 75% cones or 90% cones or 99% cones. And some of the more extreme animals are probably able to see, on the cone side of things, colors that we can't even comprehend. They can probably see into the ultraviolet, they can see into the infrared, they can see colors and shades and nuances of colors that we can't even begin to comprehend. Other animals that are far more rod-based probably can see less color than we can, but can see far more into the distance and long vision. So a really good example of this is your dog has more rods than cones in their eyes. They have more rods than we do. Their vision is sharper at a distance, but they probably see less color. And it's hard to say what they can and they can't see, but it seems really likely that at least wolves and coyotes, if not domestic dogs, are colorblind on the red-green spectrum. That appears as the same color to them, which is why something like a tennis ball seems so vivid to a dog and is so attractive. But if you go even further into, say, hawk vision, where they probably can see even less color and can see even more sharply, we know that hawks can easily spot prey or targets or test items in a study at more than a mile away. If we take that and we look at pronghorn eyes, which are so heavily rotted that it's really, really unbelievable, there are very few animals to compare, we can go ahead and extrapolate they can likely see the moons of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn at night with their bare eyes. Really, really good vision that those guys have. If you want to go all the way on the other end of the spectrum, you can look at the mantis shrimp, which has highest predominance of cones in its eyes and can probably see shades of color that we can only dream of. So a little bit on vision for you, a little bit of an understanding of how I can make a statement that a pronghorn can see the rings of Saturn. We'll never know for sure. We can't ask the pronghorn, but based on the number of rods in his eyes, it seems relatively likely. So great question. Thank you very much for that. Karen asks us, where do the names of the wolf packs come from? Are they named for the area in which they roam? Karen, you hit the nail on the head. So the way they name wolf packs is wherever the center of their territory, the closest natural geographical object is what they're named after. Now, sometimes the packs will mess this up where they'll start their territory in one geographical area and then they'll end up living somewhere else later. They don't change the name at that point. That just kind of creates confusion. They do still retain their original name. But for instance, the very famous Druid pack up in the Lamar Valley of Yellowstone hung out around Druid Peak, therefore the name. The Pinnacle pack down in Jackson Hole, the National Elk Refuge area, likes to hang out most closely in the summer to Pinnacle Peak. So the names do tend to correlate. We do not name packs after people unless the peak is named after a person. So there's very few exceptions of that. One is the Chief Joseph Pack was named after Chief Joseph Mountain, not Chief Joseph the individual. We did make one exception, which is the Molly's Pack, which was named after a woman who was instrumental in the reintroduction of wolves. And it's the only exception that's been made over the years, and they lived in Yellowstone National Park. So hopefully that answers your question. Dawn asks, what's the average number of kittens in a litter for female mountain lions? Dawn, that's a really good question. So the average is 2 or 3 if they've had more than one litter. So mountain lions in their first litter can have multiple kittens, but they commonly will just have one on their first run. It's not a hard and fast rule, but we'll commonly only see one kitten with that first pregnancy. After that, 2 to 3 is more average, but certainly as many as 6 have been spotted in the wild, but would be very, very unusual. A mountain lion having 6 kittens would be a little bit like having a grizzly bear having 4 cubs, which, you know, never happens except for when it happens like it happened this year. But very, very rare would be to see something along those lines. So hopefully that answers your question. 2 to 3 is the average that you'd see out in the wild. Jennifer asks, where is Steamboat Geyser compared to Old Faithful? All right, really good question. So most of the world's geysers are located in a very small 10-mile square area that's called the Lower Geyser Basin, the Middle Geyser Basin, and the Upper Geyser Basin. The Lower Geyser Basin includes geysers like Old Faithful, and then other famous things like the Grand Prismatic, the image we have behind me is located in the Midway Geyser Basin. Then if you go to the north, just a couple miles, you can get up to the Norris Geyser Basin, and that's where Steamboat is located. But remember, Steamboat is not predictable. We never know exactly when it's going to go off. Lots of great stuff to see in Norris, always worth a visit, and who knows, you might be able to catch Steamboat in action. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Jacqueline asks, is it correct that 399 hasn't gone into hibernation yet? Thoughts on this? Okay, so what I want you to do is when the video's over, go ahead and look all the way back to the first video. We'll show you some footage of 399 that was taken just yesterday, and you can get the latest on her, but the short version is she seems to be heading towards hibernation, but certainly isn't there yet. Hopefully that answers that for you. Barb asks, will you continue these in 2021? Barb, we will continue these, but we're thinking about maybe making them a monthly roundup rather than a weekly roundup, just because it does take a lot of resources and energy to put them all together for you guys. Maybe we'll give you like the best of each month. So stay tuned for that. We probably would start our first monthly roundup on January 6th. Lots of great videos for you guys to continue to enjoy, but it might just happen once a month rather than once a week. So great question there. Let's see here. Tanya asks, does 399 use the same den each year? Generally speaking, she uses the same den, but she hasn't always used exactly the same den, which is to say, she likes to use the same den, but she's perfectly capable of digging a new den, if that makes sense. The reason I'm saying this is there are so many cubs this year and they're so big, she's either going to have to greatly enlarge her last den or she's just going to have to dig a new one. But she usually uses the same area, so hopefully that helps you. Let's see here. Mark asks, any wolverines or badgers spotted in Yellowstone or Grand Teton Park this year? We did have a few badger videos throughout the summer, spring, summer, and fall. Badgers they don't hibernate. They are out all winter, so we may have some opportunities this winter for you as well. We didn't get any wolverines on video this year, but we do have wolverines in the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem. They're just extraordinarily rare. They tend to live at high altitude. They tend to be very elusive from people. So pretty hard to catch one on a photo, much less a video, although occasionally they are found on things like trail cams. So some of our guides do have some cams out there, some remote shutter cams. Maybe one of these days we'll get you a wolverine to show you in our broadcast. Thanks very much for that question. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Taylor's making a great point, which is, Don, if you want to see mountain lions, you got to go on our Patagonia trip, which is going to be next December. We head down there and we see tons of the cats. Super, super fun trip. If you're interested in that, definitely contact us for more details. Really, really fun adventure down into South America. So something to consider for sure. Let's see here. Oh gosh, this is a great question. Tenley, what is your New Year's resolution? I don't know if I've totally thought it through yet, and I better hurry up because I'm running out of time. But I have a couple different resolutions. I think my first one is I want to be more thoughtful and kind about everyone around me, which is to say, you never know what that person is going through in their lives, right? They might have a family member who's sick. They might be going through a struggle. They might be trying to hide a cancer diagnosis or something else that's going on. And you should always act with as much kindness and compassion as you can. So sometimes when I get impatient with, a long line at the grocery store, or something isn't necessarily going as quickly as I would wish, I think it's really important that I act mindfully, I act with compassion, and I try to remember that I don't know everybody's story. I know my story, but I don't necessarily know what's going on with everybody else. And the first thing I should do, my first instinct should be to act with kindness. Now, I like to think of myself as a relatively kind person, but we can all always be better in that category. And so I'm going to do my best with strangers I don't know who aren't necessarily doing things that are making my day go smoothly, and be patient and considerate of what's going on with them. So that's my New Year's resolution. Hopefully you guys have some good ones. Feel free to share them in the comments, but that's what I've been working on. Let's see here. Karen asks, do grizzly mothers remember their past young? Yes, at least 399 does. We don't know if other females do, but she definitely recognizes her daughter 610. She certainly recognizes some of her other cubs, and they're very tolerant, at least 399 is, of their former offspring when they're on their territory, which is really neat to see for sure. Something not humans are unique in their ability to do. Let's see here. Oh, Jennifer asks, what are gut piles? I know 399 has been feeding on them. I'm sorry we haven't made that clear. It's a little gory, but when somebody hunts an elk, they want to take the meat home, but remember, an elk could be 800 pounds, and so they want to be as efficient as they can. So they'll take the meat off of the animal, they'll pack it up in backpacks or on horses to pack away, but things like liver and lungs and kidneys and intestines and things that they don't necessarily need to be taking with them, they'll go ahead and leave at the site where the kill was made. And of course, if you're Grizzly 399, that's awesome. That's some of the most nutritious elements. And so you're really quite happy to go and clean that up for those hunters. So that's a lot of what 399 has been eating. Let's see here. All right, guys, I think I got to everybody's. If not, I'll go ahead and I'll answer in the comment section. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year to all of you. We hope to see you all in 2021. Thank you for joining us. It's been my pleasure. Have a wonderful Wednesday and weekend. So long.